Hi everyone, we're back. It is time now to get ready for dinner. Marinara sauce, if you watched the video earlier, has been going all day. We're at about 5 hours now, and pretty happy with it. It looks good. I did add a little bit more basil, salt, and some red wine to it. So it's looking good. I'll actually show it to you right now. Here's the marinara sauce from earlier. It's getting there. So all the tomatoes have broken down pretty well. Let's try and get this guy down so you can see what I'm doing now. So I have a pot of boiling water with salt about to go into it. So I have some kosher salt here. I love to salt the water. Maybe not quite like the ocean, but pretty heavily. Helps have flavor in the noodles. A little bit of olive oil keeps noodles from sticking. And that'll sit in there. So things you can add into this marinara sauce to make it interesting. I'm going to do mushrooms. So I've already sliced some what they call baby bellas or cremini mushrooms. I'm going to saute those in a cast iron skillet, which is on the other side of my water here. And then I'm going to also do some meat. So I have some ground beef here that I've vacuum sealed from yesterday. And that'll go into the pan after the mushrooms. I'm going to cook them separately. I'm going to add them separately so that I have the sauce on its own and then incorporate things based on what we need for tonight. So a little bit of olive oil in the pan and the mushrooms will go in. So I like the mushroomy flavor to kind of start the pan off, and then I'll finish with the meat. You could go the other way around. It does get a little bit greasy though with some of the beef drippings that are in the pan. But either way, if you're planning on eating them together, cooking them in the same pan is a great idea. So that's going there. I have water here that's been salted, so it was starting to boil. Now that I've added the salt, it actually raises the temperature that the water would boil. The sauce is simmering, so I did add, like I said, a little bit of basil, some more salt, some red wine. Here's the wine I added. So it's a Tablas Creek Côte de Tablas, which is Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and Counois, I believe. Is Counois the last? Yes. Those are all Rhone varietals. Some people might ask, all right, why are you not doing Chianti or Sangiovese? I actually don't like Sangiovese, Chianti, Pinot Noir, any of the lighter red wines with tomato sauce because they're really acidic. And I feel that the tomato sauce is acidic, so why would I want to have something acidic with my acidic dinner? I know some Italians say, oh, you have to have Chianti with your tomato sauce. I just think it's not the best pairing, not the best combination. I'm looking for things to kind of have that counterpoint rather than a similar point. And so I want to have something a little more body, some earthiness, maybe some funkiness like the Mourvedre brings in that blend. It'll also be a great wine to drink with the dinner. You can, in the end, use any reasonably priced red wine that still tastes good. If you would drink it, you can cook with it. What I don't like doing is putting spoiled wine or something you would never drink into the food because you still taste it. So why put something in your food that you wouldn't want to drink? So these mushrooms are going pretty well. I'll show it to you here in a second. So I'm looking for kind of the same thing I would with beef. Looking for a sear. Bring this over to you. Hopefully I don't steam up the camera too much. So I'm looking kind of for that sear on the mushroom. I don't want it to get wilted. That's what my water looks like. And then there's the sauce, obviously. So right when they start to throw their liquid, I'm actually going to hit the mushrooms here with just a little bit of red wine. It'll help deglaze the pan, get all the little bits off the bottom of the pan. You hear it sizzle pretty good when I do this, if the microphone's good. So now the pan is deglazing. All of those bits are scraped up really easily. If you're cooking in stainless steel, it's also a great way to help start to clean by putting a little bit of wine in at the very end. Just make sure the pan's really hot. And I'm actually using the flat edge wooden spoon because that'll scrape up all those bits really nicely. So a bowl will house the mushrooms. This is a cast iron pan, it conducts the heat, so I'm going to use either a glove, a pot holder, a towel, basically anything to protect myself from getting burned here. Now I want the meat I'm about to cook to have some of that mushroomy flavor, so I'm not going to do anything to this pan. I guess I'll do all of it. This is probably about 1.5 pounds of meat, probably a little overkill. But whatever, if there's some extra, there's some extra tonight. So to start off, I'm not going to season the meat. Because what will happen is, as the fat starts to cook off, a lot of that seasoning will end up going into the fat. And then I really don't know how much seasoning is staying with the meat. So because I'm actually planning on draining off some of this fat, I'm going to drain the fat first and then I'll season the meat afterwards. All right, well that's started. My water is now boiling. I'm going to wash my hands. I know that this angle isn't the best to be able to see, but now here is my cast iron with the ground beef in it. Here's the mushrooms. I do have a 5-pound bag of spaghetti, which is not the easiest thing to work with, but it's what I was able to get from one of my purveyors before we went out of business, and unfortunately grocery stores aren't the easiest places to shop right now, so I'm going to open it up and I'll grab out what I think is about 1 pound, maybe a little less. Sounds about right. Yeah, maybe a little more. Looks about right. Some people break their spaghetti. I think that's sacrilege. If they made the noodles like this, this is the way you're supposed to eat it. So I don't dump it all in at once. I kind of go in a pattern so that it spreads out and it won't stick together as easily. Here's the pattern so you can see it. So that water will start boiling again in a second. I will use a slotted spoon and stir it up so that it starts cooking. Give it about 8 minutes usually to get to al dente. I might pull it at 7 and finish cooking it in the sauce, just to help bring that flavor into the pasta noodles so it's not boring old noodles. so those are going. I'm going to put my pasta off to the side here. So from this point on, it's pretty easy. All I'm trying to do is get this ground beef browned. If I had a better way to brown this, I would. Unfortunately, these burners are kind of small over on the side, but you work with what you got. And I mean, we're all kind of in that boat at times. It's not the perfect scenario, but we do it. So I'll get it brown, pasta's going. Mushrooms are already done. I'll do a little Caesar salad. I actually took some croutons. I made some croutons with some extra brioche breadcrumbs. Sorry, brioche bread, burger buns. And so I cut them into crouton-shaped pieces. I had them out overnight, and then I just stuck them in the oven for about 10 minutes. So they're kind of at that crouton-y consistency. Yeah, perfect. They're really light and great. So these will go off to the side. They'll be part of the Caesar salad. And then with this beef, when it's done, I'm just going to drain it, and then I'll season it. And then I'll bring the sauce to the meat rather than the meat into the sauce. See if we have any. To read the wine bottle, you need to flip your camera settings. I have no idea how to do that. So if someone knows how to flip my camera settings, please let me know, and I would love to make that work. The wine is, I know you won't be able to read the label, it's backwards, but Tablas Creek. It's called Côte de Tablas from 2010, so 10-year-old grapes. It's probably been sitting in the bottle about 2 years. 46% Grenache, 39% Syrah. I know I touched a little bit about the idea of the old school thought of Chianti and tomatoes and Italian food and Sangiovese, and it just kind of being that perfect together, and it's grown in the same area. But for me personally, I just really want something that has a little bit less acidity to go with this acidic sauce. Now, if I was doing a more of a cream-based sauce or something that was, I mean, obviously heavy on mushrooms with something else, then maybe I would lean more toward in that acidic direction in the wine. But for this, I really want something a little more unctuous and maybe a little less tart. So this beef is getting pretty brown. What I don't want to do is overcook it. It's kind of that, there's the old school thinking of, oh, you have to absolutely kill it to make sure it's safe. Nowadays, especially with meat that's been handled correctly, you can have beef that's ground beef that's cooked to medium rare and it's still acceptable. I'll get this all to well done. There won't be any pink when it's done, but what I'm probably going to do is keep it about medium here, and then I'll finish cooking it with the sauce. So I'm going to drain this right now. That's there. I'm now going to season it to taste. Most of the flavor profile I want is coming from the sauce, so really just salt and pepper is completely acceptable. I'll probably just go here. I actually have a ramekin with some pepper in it. So now notice I cooked the mushrooms already. They're here, and now that they've been sitting, there's actually this really great sauce that kind of formed in the bowl. And that's going to add a ton of flavor to this kind of meat mushroom sauce combination that we're doing here. The other nice part is I have a daughter that's vegetarian, so I'm cooking these all separately. I know that this sauce is not just vegetarian but vegan because I haven't added any cheese or anything to it. And so I can feed just about anybody with what I've done here. Okay, I like where the sauce is. I'm going to take the mushrooms, I'm going to dump them back in here with the meat. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the sauce, a little bit at a time, scoop it into the meat mixture. All right, I'm getting hungry. Show you what this looks like now. So a lot of the grease here is on the edges. We'll be able to drain it one more time. The nice part with cooking it at this temp is it's bringing that all to the top. I have my pasta here, and then I have my marinara sauce there. Looks like it's about time for the pasta to come out. I just take a little piece, throw it onto my cutting board, and it is perfect. It has just a little bit of chewiness still, a little bite to it, that perfect al dente. It's going to keep cooking with the heat. I do not rinse my pasta. Now I'm going to turn the heat off. Heat's off of everything, and now time to plate. So here's the great cheater way to do things. If you can, a little saucepan. So we'll start things off with my daughter who does not eat meat. I'll take some of the marinara sauce, put it in the saucepan, just about that much. I have tongs. Grab the amount of pasta that I want. I'm going to put it in the saucepan. Stir it around here, let that sauce totally incorporate. And then I'll grab my plate. That's Susie. Hi, Susie. So here's my pasta. Twirl method's a great way to present. So I take the pasta, I bring it out of the pot, I will lay it down on the plate, and then twist as I lay it down. And I can take a little bit less leftover sauce, put it on top. And here we have plate number one. This is the vegetarian version. So I'll move that out of the way. And now I'll get just a little bit of the meat sauce. That will go into the pan. Same thing, I'll take some of the pasta. The amount that I want to serve for a person. And the great thing is I'm not then bringing this pan over any other food. I can bring the saucepan directly to the plate. So here it is. I will incorporate it in. You can see from the steam coming on, everything is continuing to cook. I'm trying to get that flavor into all of the noodles. And I'll bring it down onto the plate. And that's it for now. So I'll have another picture on here today and then take a look at what we're going to do for tomorrow. Bye-bye.